Okay, so Siv Vav and Siv Zion, I'm going to try not to kill you on here. I think we started this, right? Kli H shel chashukim shel bar mechutz shema'amidin oso eino ta'un tevilat. So as we've talked about, the issue here is defining it as Kli Suda. Then there's a secondary question, the halacha, and this is the one that emerged out of the coding question, which was not just is it defined as Kli Suda, but is it defined as a metal Kli Suda, right? And this is right a bit more complicated. Right? So Shulchan Aruch says if you have a wood kli which has external like metal, like I don't know, things that fasten it, right? It doesn't need tevilah, right? What's the svara of Shulchan Aruch?
It's not defined as a metal object.
Right. Correct.
He's saying that has to be defined as a metal object. So.
Correct. Now,
yes. Sure.
Right, now the Taz argues that this is true. So in general there's halacha, and again I don't want to get too much into this. There's a halacha called ma'amid. Right, ma'amid means something that supports, right, or holds something together. So there is a machlokes about whether ma'amid defines the kli. And the Taz argues that even if you hold that in general it defines the kli, in this case, this is not enough of a ma'amid, where it's just, right, that would be like if it, the extra, right, that was the machlokes we saw before, right, the whole external, right, but not internal, right, or all internal, but here it's just like a few straps, so he assumes that everyone would agree that this is not that this is true, but the Shach disagrees. Right? If you look at the Shach in Yud Beis, he says Tarachiyun. The Beis Yosef was right. The Shach notes in the Beis Yosef says that maybe not. Maybe as long as it holds it together, even though that which is touching the food is wood, and this isn't even the whole outside. If you think that a kli is defined by that which holds it together, so maybe you should be tovel it. And therefore, the Beis Yosef said that it is you should be told without a bracha misafek. Right? Usually with no bracha on the misafkolan. So, and therefore he says that you should be tovel without a bracha. Okay, I don't want to get too much into it, but that's the machlokes here. In Siv Zion, you get kol shel kesef mechubar b'chli eit zarech tevilah. If you have a silver, if you have the opposite, right, silver which is attached by some wood, so then you do need tevilah. Okay? Now, the Shach notes that this is also strange because you should have said that you need it without a bracha, right? Meaning it should be that it's one or the other. Either it depends on the majority of the kli, or it depends on what holds the kli together. Right? So in Shulchan Aruch it sounds like he's totally convinced at the end of the day it's about the majority of the kli and not that which holds it together, and therefore he tells you no tevilah on the wooden kli held together by metal, and tevilah with a bracha of metal held together by wood. Right? Though he notes that in the Beis Yosef raises both as a suffix. But here he argues that maybe, even though this is true, maybe he says it's one directional, and then here, even though the metal kli, the wooden kli with the metal thing, he thinks doesn't need a tevilah, he thinks that here or maybe needs it with a bracha. Here he thinks that when it's a metal cup and there's just some like wood things holding together, he really does think, right, especially if it's mechubar and not necessarily mamid, that you would need tevilah with a bracha. But if you look at the length of the Taz, right, the Taz has a very long discussion on this, and the Taz argues that maybe not, right? Maybe you will do it without a bracha misafek. Okay, I don't want to kill you guys with that, but know that exists. Okay, let's just read through Shulchan Aruch again. I don't want to. These issues I don't think come. I mean, they do come up, but anyways, the Ramah writes: "Rechaim shel pilpulin." If you have a pepper grinder, shbedocha eitish barzel kavua shedochen bo tzarach tevilah, that has a metal, right? The actual part that crushes is metal. So you need Tevilah. Okay, is this obvious?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not used for cooking.
Good, and that's what the Piskei Tshuva knows. You look at the Piskei Tshuva, he says, "I'm b'sheles yavetz shekazar chaim shdochim ben mapola and akluyim sheosin ben mashka a coffee, right? A coffee grinder near the chayavim b'tvilah the adav mechaim shel pilpulin, right? He says that your coffee grinder you do need, which because it's better than a pepper grinder. And yours said tefillah below bracha came in the tzarech bishul." But he said in both these cases it would seem that you need it without a bracha because, right? And remember, this is the machlokas we saw before, right? Because here you still need to cook it, meaning it's a step removed from the food.
If you buy a pepper grinder from the store that already has pepper in it, you have to empty out the contents and then tofu.
Probably, but maybe not. But probably.
Wow.
Probably. Right? And we'll come to that in a minute, okay?
That's what the candy
But we'll hold the thought on electric ones.
Same issue as the candy dish.
Oh, good. Thank you. V'chein ha'mashpechot shel barzel shel matchot kol tzorchem tefila v'dav k'shikli shel matechas aval eikar kli shel eitz rak shemat barzel kavua b'hol v'esh l'sham shel barzel. Right, the Rama says if something's mostly wood and has a little bit of metal and can be used without the metal, so then anyone would say in tzarech tefila aval kli metukim v'seder shel barzel v'lo yisez lo yaf shel ishtamish v'hem b'fnim tzarech tefila. But if there's metal on the inside that holds it together, you couldn't use it without it, so then you wouldn't need tefila. Okay. Hold the thought. Hold the thought. We're not there yet. Okay. Ches and Tes. And okay, fine. You know what? Let's talk about those things now. Okay, we've basically seen the stuff about Kli, right? After this, Shulchan Aruch launches into his discussions about things that belong to a guy and all those various cases. And we've talked about some of those outside. But now with this, you should be able to understand some of the more complicated issues that are raised. Okay? So, before we get to hold the thought on electric. Because electric is probably the most complicated. One of the big questions that's raised in Poskim is the exact status of what about Chad Pami? Right, Chad Pami things. What's Chad Pami?
First time.
Not first time. Disposable, right? Disposable, right? You know disposable kelim?
Yeah.
You know, like metal. What? No, plastic's easy, right? The complicated shaila is metal, the aluminum ones, right? Now, so let's try to define it. So, do you think that aluminum pans are chayiv in Tevilat Kelim?
Well, they have a coating on them. So
They don't.
So they have a wax coating on some of them. That's why things don't really stick.
These are the coating we need to.
At least the pans I have back in America. They have like a wax coating.
No, most of them do not have wax coatings, right? That's why people put what's it called on it? Put wax paper.
I mean the one because it's the wax.
Okay, leave one without wax. Okay, most of them don't.
Wait, so you just said it. You just gave an idea. If the wax paper's put already in it, what's the thing of tofu? It's the tofu, but not actually in the pan.
So what?
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
They put wax
What? You have a cholent pot? You always put in a cholent bag, and now, that's cheres.
For my crock pot, I don't put the actual crock pot itself in tofu. I tofu the thing that the food goes in.
Yeah, but if you can't, what do you? You think you don't have to tovel a sous vide? Like, come on.
A what?
Sous vide.
If you're cooking something sous vide, right? You're using a pot, but you put it in a vacuum sealed bag inside the food. You don't have to tovel it.
Wait, what? You're putting the bowl in the vacuum bag, but the food's in the bowl. Of course, the bowl then you have to tovel. I'm saying when the food itself is in contact with. If it's not in contact,
No, sous vide. The food is only in touch with the vacuum sealed plastic bag. So now you don't have to tovel what's around it. No, because the kli is a kli suda. Who cares that it's in a plastic bag?
I thought we said it's whatever it touches.
No, we didn't. We said whatever the kli. Remember, it's about the kli. The kli is defined as.
Yeah, but if there's no food touching the kli, why would there be a problem?
Hold on, come on.
We said the kli doesn't have.
No, we did not. No, we never said that.
We
No, we did not.
that means your You know that third plate that's just made of that you just put the plates on top of.
Right. The thing that you actually, right? You can't just get away. Right. Right. Just because, like, if you say right. You can't get away and say, "Oh, I'll cook this in the pot right now, and I'll just make sure it doesn't touch things." Right? That's not how it works. It's a klei suda. Right? If you put a little doily on a serving thing for cookies every time you serve it, right? That's not okay.
Didn't we say suda?
Right? You have to tovel it.
Didn't suda imply you eat from it?
Doesn't matter. It's a klei suda. It's a klei suda. It's not magic like that.
Wait, so we know a plant is
right?
klei suda.
Wait, but it's a klei suda with a coating. Why isn't it?
Okay. No. That was defining the kli, remember?
Right, but if you take this pot and you put wax paper over it, why does that not count as a coating?
Because it's not a coating. Remember, the question of coating was defining the kli.
Right.
This is not defining the kli. You can't just...
Oh, because it's still... Okay, fine.
Right?
Still considered...
I mean, when I'm saying, I'm making it more extreme than more obvious than it is, but hold it, right?
We say...
1 second. I asked you a question. Chad Pami, what do you think? Leave aside the coating, okay?
Yes. Because it's klei suda, and it's a material that requires tevilah.
Good. So why would you say yes? Why would you say no? So far we have one saying that an aluminum pan needs tevilah. Why would it need tevilah?
Because it's metal.
It's metal and it's klei suda.
Right.
Good. Do you tovel all of your aluminum pans? Good. Now tell me why you might not need it.
That's why I say you wouldn't need it because I don't think suda is defined right for the pan.
It is definitely klei suda. You put it on you bake a kugel in a aluminum pan and you bring it to the table. How is that not klei suda?
I don't eat it from the pan.
Doesn't matter. It's klei suda.
Klei suda is that you eat with it, don't you?
People don't eat with it. No one has ever eaten from it.
You don't pick off the scraps from the side.
You bake cookies in it. You bake cookies in it. You bring out the pan of cookies, and someone picks up a cookie out of it. That's never happened.
I don't make cookies in a pan. They're on a wax sheet.
You can't imagine.
Has this never happened?
In the context of the people, yes, it has.
Is it chayev or is it patur?
What do you mean patur?
Not requiring...
Do you have to tovel it or do you not have to tovel it?
I still think you have to...
Do you have to tovel it or not? I want an answer and an explanation.
No.
Why not?
You wouldn't have to tovel it because the pans are not... they're not being reused.
So?
It's a one-time usage.
So?
But it's still klei suda.
So?
It's still klei suda.
What?
Still klei suda.
So what?
Wait, I'm saying all the kelim that we've been talking about are not thrown out after.
Therefore,
you have to keep. There's a spiritualness to it. Why are you going to put spirit? Why are
it's not considered owned. It's not considered.
Why are you going to add the spiritualness to it if you're going to toss it out?
Why wouldn't it need tevilah?
It's meant for a one-time use.
So what?
You can't. Why are you going to put a...
That's not a svara.
It's not a svara?
It's still considered klei suda, and it's still a material that requires tevilah.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but you're not articulating a svara.
I'm not giving the right reason yet.
You're not giving any reason yet.
What? I gave some. They're just wrong.
Go on, tell me. Why would you not need it?
You have to... It's something on the lines of the fact that you throw it out.
That's not a svara either. What's the svara? You guys read the article. What's the svara?
I didn't finish reading the article.
Maybe it's not a kli. Maybe kli is defined as that which is permanent, not that which is disposable.
Wasn't that you saying that?
How can you say it's not a kli? How can you say it's not a kli?
Because perhaps the definition of kli is that which has lasting power, right? Let me put it differently, right? Would anyone say that aluminum foil needs tevilah?
No.
Why? Because it's not a kli, right? It's not a kli, right? And if I didn't have, right, how many things can I, there are many things that you could do with aluminum foil, right, that you could do with an aluminum pan, right?
Yeah.
It's just made into a different shape, right? You could argue that it's not a kli. But do you understand now, after having...
If you would use it multiple
times...
Guys,
do you understand now why there's a machlokas about this issue?
Yes.
Right, on the one hand, you might say, what do you mean? It is a kli. It's that which I use for food. And it's made out of metal, and therefore it's chayev. And other people will say...
No, it's not a kli.
No, it's not a kli, because kli implies permanence. But why does this matter? Because as we've talked about over and over again, what is the definition of that which is chayev in tevilah? Thank you. Good.
If you would use it over and over again.
So now let me quickly read you a few lines from Poskim. Oh,
like
good.
a permanent marker. If it would be clear, then be hard to like a permanent marker.
Right. It's an interesting parable, but yes. Okay. So the Chelkas Yaakov and Minchas Yitzchak say that Kelim Ha'omdim. Right, now I'm just pulling out an article that summarizes it. Right. It says that Kelim Ha'omdim l'shimush chad pe'ami, that which is meant for one-time use. U'vidato l'zarkam lachar shimush enam tzricham tefillah. I don't need tefillah, quote, Mitam de tashmish arai v'lo klei tashmish. Because it's not permanent, it is not a kli. Now, you have to be very careful, because people make a very serious mistake, which is, people think that you get a freebie usage, right, based on this halacha, right, that if you get a kli, you can use it once without bringing it to the mikvah. That's wrong.
Right.
There's no such thing as a freebie. Right? It's not because it's the first time usage, it's because it isn't a kli. Right? It is only a one-time usage.
Right.
Right? But if something is a permanent kli, how many times are you allowed to use it without tefillah?
0.
Thank you.
But if you forget, you're allowed to eat it PDM.
Correct. But you're not allowed to do this lechatchila. Right? Dafil tashmin haray asu below tefillah. Hainu heichel haray akapanim letashmish kavua masha engein zeh v'gamin v'gamim tumuk v'im v'rambam shekeren shu mishtamish ba u'mashlicha eina mikabelet tuma vatam came into the law of a kli rak shenasa l'shamish bo tadir lo shenasa l'shlicho techef l'sar shidish of Yaakov the poter mitfilah bekelim she'ena mikablim tuma pshidi shlom etzar tefillah avlachatchila koshen shkar nagu kein v'chein amad davar shelo litbol. Okay? Right, so many poskim say that since you're going to throw them out, it is not a kli at all. Now, Ramosha Feinstein adds that this is true even if
You would
use it 2 or 3 times. Why?
Because it's not required to be that.
Because right. The point is it permanent or not permanent? It's not one versus more than one. It's permanent versus not permanent.
Right.
Right. And therefore he says al kol panim chazina and below miskaimin elas man katzar. Now it's not because let's say you're very wealthy and you don't like doing dishes, so you buy a pot, and every time you finish the pot you throw it out instead of washing the dishes. Right.
No, because the pot is normally considered.
Would you need tefillah?
Yes.
Obviously. Right. Because the pot is a kli suda. The fact that you are right.
Yeah, that's the old thing.
Correct. Right? Moshe Feinstein's argument is that something that's only going to last 2 or 3 times. Oh, I'm not saying you should do this. I'm saying theoretically, if you did this, right? Yeah, I don't suggest this. Yeah, I don't suggest it. Look, if the guy's that wealthy, he just hire someone to clean his dishes and move on with it, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, that's what you would think, right? Anyways, so Ramosha therefore writes, Al Kopanim Chazinin Lo Miskaimin El Zman Katzar Af Shishtamshu Behem Eze Pamim Einam Mikablum Tuma. Right? If you use it a few times, right? Those things which, Bikosha, you could use it 2 or 3 times, right? You could eke out a second use, right? You can't.
Wait, but what if you cook something but you put the leftovers in your fridge like we normally do?
Again, it's fine because it's not. Right?
Yeah, but what's considered? It's sitting there for a long time. Like
Still throw it out.
It's permanent for that week, though. Like
right.
That's what,
now this is the.
It's a permanent. You're using it for a week. Like
asking for a time.
So you could use a kli 100 times, but you're throwing it out after 2 weeks. Like it's not considered permanent. Like
it's not permanent. Then you threw it out.
So that's what I don't get. You could use the tinfoil pan 100 times.
Good. Right? Therefore, right? So now, however, there are those who disagree. Ruvadia Yosef says, nope. Ruvadia Yosef said that you do need a tovel disposable pans. Why? Why? Why?
Because they have the ability to be considered.
Correct. Right? Meaning because, right? Because they are real kli, right? Even though they're like disposable, meaning like they don't need to be disposable, right? They are kelim, right? There, and the third possible position, right, is to say that it depends on
Maybe to cover
whether you intend on reusing them.
Maybe to cover
Right? Meaning, if you are buy them, right? Some people really just keep them forever, right? Then,
You should.
right? That's what Minchas Yitzchak writes. That
Wait,
if
but
it's
then why is the pot not required? Because we said like the pot is normally used as glacier, therefore it requires tefillah, even if you would throw it out after one use.
correct.
Here, a tinfoil pan is normally used.
And I think that's because, right, these kalim are somewhere in the middle, right?
Yeah,
Meaning,
it's not meant to
it's
last.
normally disposable, and if you're using it as a disposable, right, that's one thing. But it's not like impossible. There are people who do this, right? And it is.
Yes, and there's also people who throw out their pots after.
No, I don't think there are.
It's not.
I think that would just be crazy,
It
right?
would definitely be crazy.
I think if a culture developed, one can make an argument, right?
The pots, the pan still. It's like you do dispose of it eventually. It's much short. It's a much shorter span than the pot. You're sure you can reuse it? It's
Yeah,
not
but
meant to be
that's like
reused.
it wears out. That's not what we mean, right? We mean something.
Yeah, a pot
Okay.
doesn't wear out as easily as a pan.
Okay.
That's not really permanent then.
What?
It's not really permanent then.
And permanent doesn't mean forever. Permanent isn't forever. Permanent is like,
What's the time bound that we're...
it means you know the difference between something that you use once or twice and then throw it out and the type of thing that is meant to last until it wears out.
Yeah,
Right?
okay, foil pans usually can't go more than like 6 times in the oven
Okay.
before they start getting burning holes in them.
Yeah, exactly.
So does that make them permanent then?
Is it wearing it out?
Yes.
No.
Once it gets a hole, you can't bake with it.
Things that are made for very temporary, okay? I don't know if I can draw an exact line for you. Okay? What?
Because this is the problem here with the
Now.
body who says that it's...
Now this leads to... okay. Now this leads to the next shayla, which is, okay, that's fine with metal pans. What about, right, coffee jars or the Snapple bottle? The Snapple bottle controversy. So what would you say, Misvara?
According to this, if you say that it's considered a one-time use, and it's not considered a kli, then...
What?
I thought you said last time.
That's why you should take your phone.
You said you can't use a snapper bottle.
I know. I said this is what it depends on. I said this is right now. We'll come to it. Okay.
If you consider that it's a one-time use and it's not considered a kli, then you would not. But if you consider it a kli, well, no, the glass
Good.
itself is...
So Rav Moshe Feinstein says. So there's different svaras that are thrown out. Okay. Rav Moshe Feinstein says, look, right. So he has an interesting svara, which is to say, well, maybe the Jew is the one who creates the kli, and therefore it wouldn't require tefillah. That's a bit hard.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right?
I like that. It's glass? Isn't it already a
The Sridei Eish had a suggestion to have in mind not to be kona the bottle.
Isn't it a svig segel?
But,
It's already glass.
but there are poskim who really say that, or apparently Schechter says this, and this was that you are not allowed to drink from it.
Pour out the Snapple.
And you pour it out. Correct.
I mean, you could just pour. You might as well just pour it into a cup and then drink from the cup.
Well, that's what he says to do.
That's what people
But if
do.
you want to drink from the bottle, then you would have. Now, the in Gush, the legend is that Rav Yitzchak Lichtenstein, our son, used to paskin this way. And therefore, before he would drink his Snapple bottle, from his Snapple bottle, he would be mafkir it. Because if you're mafkir it, then you're not chayv in tefillah. Right? Make it hefker. Right?
So you could just go.
Correct. And one time, his chavrusa just drank it.
Oh my gosh,
clean
that's
this
hilarious.
bottle. Okay,
Right?
I'm
Because
gonna
if you-
borrow it,
it-
now I don't have to total.
That's incredible.
Borrowed non-Jew. Now, why do many poskim think that you don't need to?
Because it's a one-time use.
Correct. Same thing. Right?
Wait, but isn't it? It's already a suffix derabbanan. Whether it's already a suffix whether glass requires tefillah in itself. So whenever you say suffix derabbanan, though,
Good. Can you get my computer charger? It's gonna. For some reason, my computer's running down.
that's what I don't get. Like, why is it different than the other glass case where we said speaks?
So let me now read you this summary here. So the Orlet Tzion and Tzitz Eliezer, right? Yesh l'mod leinan Tevilat Klei Yaakov Tzenet shel Kafen Names Chayot Zevashgonu B'Dechor shel Goyim Komo shel Achar Zevashgonu Kam B'Dechor shel Tzenet Chazara Shirish Chad B'Amid Em Sheichon Tevilat Afilam Nimshach Zman. Now the Tzitz Eliezer takes this farther, and he says, yeah, not only a Snapple bottle, right? You could come up with this far that a Snapple bottle would be patur, but a coffee bottle would be chayev. Why?
You always reuse it.
No, I mean, like instant coffee container. Why?
Because it's constant. There's still
because they're for months at a time, right? Right, think about it. Right, you could say it's Snapple, it's chad pa'ami.
Yeah, but that's similar to the use of a tin foil pan.
That's right. Yeah.
Good. So the Tzitz Eliezer says, look, it doesn't matter. In the end of the day, you're not intending to reuse it. You're intending to use it until the coffee runs out, and then chuck it.
Right.
And therefore, the Tzitz Eliezer, and Snapple bottle Kal Vachomer says that it is right.
Couldn't you say that's for the same for foil pans? You use them until they can't hold anything anymore.
No, that's not the same thing.
Why not? Because they're not meant to last a long time.
No,
you're just able to reuse them for like maybe another 4 uses.
You can use them for years.
Years?
Yes.
Foil pan?
Yes. Yes, you
I've
can.
not seen a pan last more than like
I have.
a few weeks.
I have.
Where are you getting your foil pans?
I have also.
You get it from Costco?
Yeah, I also get them from Costco.
What do you do to your pans?
What?
No, like when you burn something in the oven, and yes, the sides are.
Not even burn them. You cook it, but then my mom will wash it, and it's still eventually there's holes in it that you can't. What's it called? You can't continue using it.
Now, there was another shaila. Okay, so now we've seen the two sides, sort of on these disposable ones, on the Snapple bottles, on the right. What happens in the third case? What happens if you fully intend to reuse them? Right? Meaning,
I mean, if you go based on what the
like let's say you buy a coffee, right? The coffee thing, and then you from moment one, you say, you know what? When I'm done,
I'll just refill them with coffee.
I can see why you would.
Yeah, I'm gonna refill it. Then what would you say?
Why don't we consider it like
it's empty, so might as well.
Knife that is normally used for one way, but if you use it in like a different way, then it's
good. So Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld said, yeah, right. You're going to use that. You have to tovel it. Right? You have to tovel it. Ramosha says, and this is very clever, he says, no, you don't. You know why?
It's still not really, it's not commonly
still considered a non-permanent clean.
Good. So he says like this. Because, or this is his svara, and this comes back to the way he said it by the Snapple bottle. Because people normally use it, throw it out after one time, so it's not really like kli.
Right.
You're planning on using it again.
It's still
no. So you're the one making it a kli. Right, that's his lumdus. Right, Moshe's argument is, right? Moshe said, look, right, when it was produced, right, the guy produced it as to be a chad pa'ami. If you then change your mind and say, I'm going to use it l'dorei doros,
I can apply to everything.
Right?
What? Can't it?
For tulim,
I can apply to Snapple, I can apply to foil pans. The fact that it's meant to be, it's built to be used once.
Yeah,
except
but you can't apply that to a pot.
Why not? Not a pot, a foil pan.
Yeah.
I can apply to a foil pan. They're built to last once, but you make them last longer.
I kind of like that.
Now,
I like that.
Now Rav Ovadia has an interesting svara, okay? Rav Ovadia says he thinks that you're pater, but you know why you're pater? Not because he thinks it's not a kli, but because you didn't put the food in the kli to begin with, right? And therefore, and you're like, so what? So he says, this is his lumdus. It's very clever, right? He says, I'm not using the kli. I'm in the process of emptying the kli, just over the course of many months. Right? Meaning, right? Because what's the halacha? Right? This is a kli that didn't have tevilah, and therefore if I want to use it, what do I need to do?
I need to empty it.
I need to take the food out. But, who said how fast I have to take it out? I didn't put it there, it's there, I just got to take it out.
That's why. That's why our candy dishes don't fast.
That's
It's funny how, because he also
now,
for a pan.
Rav Moshe Sternbach, on the other hand, says that he quoted from the Chazon Ish. The Chazon Ish said, no, as soon as you get it, you got to clear it out and then do tevilah right away. But Moshe Sternbach himself says no. Right? He says misvara amina de after shem eno machsher mashal lakach mitocho eno chayav tefillah. If you don't put it back, you're not going to need tefillah. Shekli lo nikra kli seuda sheino miyuad lehishtamish bo lahachzik mashnim b'shaita v'zochel shegor v'zorko. Right? So Moshe Sternbach says similar to Ovadia. He says no. Right? This is not called usage. It's just holding it there until it's empty. Right? Hey gavna in chayav tefillah. Right? Meaning it's not a right. Meaning you're like similar to Ovadia. You're just right. You're just waiting for it to be empty to throw it out, right? It's just okay. It takes a year, 2 years, whatever, right? You know.
What do you eat that lasts so long?
I don't know. Come up with something.
Gum,
Matzah. Matzah lasts forever.
I don't know. You went to Costco, instead of getting the instant coffee that's this big, you got the one that's 73 gallons. I don't know.
Easier
right?
Rabbi, easier answer.
I don't know.
Easier answer, Rabbi, a honey jar. I just realized.
Sure.
So how does it expire? It comes in a glass jar, so.
And instant coffee expires.
Doesn't? I always thought
I feel like freeze-dried coffee never goes bad.
It lasts
I was told honey's the expiration.
Look, in my house, instant coffee does not go very fast.
Water expires.
Water does not.
Listen.
So
In my house, instant coffee doesn't go very fast because Ora doesn't like instant coffee, right? She only will have like instant coffee if like she needs a coffee on Shabbos and she hasn't made coffee in advance, right? So then, right?
By the way, water doesn't expire.
Right, because like Ora will normally make like like cold brew or something, or make coffee before Shabbos to make as an iced coffee, right? But if she forgets, so it could last for a long time, right? Not like you guys who drink this, this garbage every day,
I don't drink coffee. I don't drink coffee.
I don't drink coffee. I'm not a coffee drinker either, but
I need to get some of that tea that I drink. It's fancy tea.
Anyways, now, so, but then halacha Moshe Sternbach draws a distinction that the Nachum said before, which is, he's like, look, there's a suffix, a machlokes poskim about these storage containers, and therefore he distinguishes between, but what does he can distinguish between? Metal and glass. Why?
Because glass is already
the machlokes if you have to.
Because he thinks, not because you have to, but because Rov poskim thinks it's Rabbanan. Right? And therefore he says, right? Correct.
So we don't tell
and therefore he says by the Nescafe, right? By Nescafe so he says by Nescafe in the glass ones, you can be makil. But Nescafe that comes in like the can, like the metal can, then he thinks you have to be machmer.
Are you serious?
Right?
Shoot.
So glass,
what if it's one of the metals that is not listed in the Pesukim?
Well,
we said that only the ones that are listed in the Pesukim might be the only ones that are deraisa, and the other ones might not be.
One second. Now, okay, so just a second. So Neuwirth, right, quotes from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Let me just get this thought out, right?
That was probably made by.
You get enough that you can shirk. Not second.
So Shlomo Zalman, he says, writes that one second. Right, now he also notes that theoretically there should be a difference between whether you bring it to the table or not. Right? Right, because if you don't bring it to the table, right, it might not be a clay suda, right? Because you take it, you put it in your cup, you will make it, right? When you bring it to the table and like it's
but if you're cooking from it, it's still considered if you're cooking from it, it's still considered a clay suda.
Now there are poskim, however, who say right now if you go like Rovadia, what you could potentially say is that you don't have to tovel the coffee jar the first time you're emptying it, but when you empty it and now decide to reuse it, you'll have to tovel it because the only svara before was
that you made it a clay.
No, the Ravadia's was that you're just in the process of emptying it.
Oh, okay.
Right? Guys, but you see that what is this all? okay, this is all important because remember I said that I'm not going to, make you read everything inside for the halacha-theory. What I'm trying to do is get you to see how the basic conceptual issues, right? Once you try to translate the basic conceptual issues into the halacha-theory, they're very complicated, right? Like, I'm giving you the basics here, right? The basics is, what is chayev to be tovel? A kli seuda, which is, right, a metal or glass kli seuda, right? But defining a kli is not exactly easy. Hence the one-time use. Hence the great Snapple bottle controversy.
Shita, by the way, who said because you decided to reuse it, you're gonna make it a clean.
Ramosha. Okay, good. Now let's go to Tuvia's problem, because Tuvia's problem is an even bigger problem, and that is metal kelim, right? Kelim chashmaliyim. Woo! So I will read you even just from halacha-pedia, because I think their first sentence, not metal, electric. Electric. Chashmaliyim.
Oh, but it said in the beginning you mean kumkum.
Kumkum, whatever, right? A toaster, v'chulei. Okay, I will quote from halacha-pedia, the first line. Modern day electrical appliances present the mitzvah Tevilat Kelim with its biggest challenge. I think that's a good summary of what I'm about to say. So let me. First, I'll read you their. I'm not going to go through everything. But let me read you their paragraph, and then I'll read you a few shitot, and then we'll move on. Okay? This is, of course, because water can damage electrical appliances or even cause harm to those who use the items following the immersion. There are differing approaches amongst the halacha-theory as to how one should proceed with items. Okay. So what? Some authorities are of the opinion that anything that must be plugged in, this is the Chelkos Yaakov's famous opinion, which must be plugged into the wall in order to be used, is halachically considered as if it were attached to the ground. And anything which is attached to the ground is exempt from Tevilat Kelim. Why?
Because it's something mechubar to the kanka.
And therefore,
it's not a kli seuda.
Good, right? Remember I said this all comes down to defining a kli? Right? So the Chelkos Yaakov says, well, if it's attached to the ground, it's not a kli, it's binyan. Right? It's whatever, it's part of the house. Right? It's whatever, it's karka, it's whatever. Right? And therefore the Chelkos Yaakov has this, right, radical position that, we said the only thing that's chayiv is kli, and if it's plugged in, so then it's not a kli. Now, they continue. Most authorities, however, reject this comparison and require even electrical items to be immersed, just like all others. Right? Well, some of these authorities require the entire item to be immersed along with its electrical components. Others say that only the actual component, which comes in direct contact with the food, needs to be immersed. Right? That's their summary of this. Okay, but I'll read you a different summary from a different article. Again, I was trying to figure out how to cut this down, so that's why I tried to give you the principles first. So I'll go through this other article. Second. Okay. Electric appliances. בתקופה האחרונה נתחשדו הרבה כלים הקשורים לאוכל שיש בהם חלקי חשמל. Right? So there are now many kelim that are electrical that deal with food. I think we all knew that, yes? Yes, good. So what do you do? So he says, first question is, what? So first of all, we have to figure out which kelim are we talking about. Machshir chashmal lechimum, bishul kirur nikui, she'em manichem aleim et ma'achal atzmo, manichem aleim k'deira she'esh b'tocham ma'achal, einam tunin tevilah. So he said, first of all, what's obvious that you don't, what is clear that you don't need tevilah?
When is it clear?
Yes. Is he said the things that aren't kelim themselves, right? Like
tinfoil.
Grill, an oven, let's say, right? You don't put it on the oven. You put it on the pan of the oven, right? Or an electric burner, right? An electric burner is just like any other burner, right? You don't put it on, right? You don't need to double it because it's a heating element, and then you put the kli on top of the heating element. So that's clear. We're not talking about that, right? So he said that includes, let's say, a refrigerator or a plata, or a dish, right? A dishwasher, that was obvious, or electric burners. Now he includes an oven. Now he includes a toaster oven. He includes a toaster oven, which I'm not sure.
Some people put.
Yeah, so let's leave that aside.
Usually people put when they
There's never been the Tevilat Kelim for a dishwasher.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. That was just weird.
I mean, it's
Okay,
not
fine.
water.
I'm just gonna leave that. That was just weird. Okay. 2. Machshirei chashmal shemanichim behem o aleihem and amachal atzmotim tevilah. But then there are the things that you need, that you actually put things on that ostensibly you would think would need tevilah, right? We're leaving the electric issue aside. So that would be a toaster,
an electric grill,
right? So he has a toaster mishulashim, or a toaster kofetz,
a grilled cheese,
or a kaf chashmalit, or mazleg chashmali, or machvat chashmalit.
What are these?
Electric pan,
okay.
Electric fork,
a mecham, right? A water urn,
right?
A kumkum.
What about a grilled cheese maker?
And then there's the third types of things, which are where there's two parts to it, right? The part that touches the food is not electric, and then there's a heating element like a bread maker or a blender, right?
Or
right?
kumkum. Even a kumkum.
No, not necessarily, because they're the. Let's take an easy. Let's take an easy case, right? The electric is there, right? There are.
You just tell them.
Are we starting now?
No, it's going to start probably 10 soon. Is that okay?
Okay, fine.
Wait, a kumkum is not touching the electric. The water's not touching the electric.
No, but if you were to take the kumkum, put it in the water, right? Part of what is going to touch the electricity is going into mikvah.
Right.
Right. So let's divide them into 3, right? I mean, like a blender is not a problem, right? The fact that a blender happens to have an electric part of it doesn't make it hard to blend, right? Because you
just take off the blade or something.
Okay, so what do you do? Okay, so the Shev Yaakov writes, the Klei Achila Polam and Chashmal P'turim and Tefillah Levi she'einem neshlamim kelim o v'lanamu rak asher muchbarim l'sheker. So as I did, the Shev Yaakov says, well, it's attached to the ground. V'nefsav chibur lakarka v'kol mechubar lakarka eino kli. Right, so he says, well, you plug them in, and therefore they're not a kli.
Even the part that you could detach from the blender, like.
So this is like a. Right, so this is at least the part, though the whole thing is attached, right? Like a toaster oven. Okay?
Yes.
Ramosha Feinstein says, "Hamakom bo nimtzaim chudei chashmal lo tzarech tefila. Maspik latfila acharei hamichitza shebein hakli lachashmal. V'av shekli achadu lo nitpatel achelek chashmali kli lachshiv hakol leklei suda." So he said, even though normally you have to be told the whole thing, right? He thinks that in the end of the day, right, when you have the electric component, the part which actually is electric wiring and stuff, doesn't have to go into the mikvah. So the chelek hachashmali is patur, because it's not a kli, or it's a beta starim, it's hidden, but everything else has to go in. The Chelkat Yaakov says that the chelek hachashmali does need tefillah, but he says there are ways which you can do it without making it broken. So he says one is here, come, help me think through it now that you've seen the Yisodot. One is
to use a scotch and put it slightly the water from the
maybe. So I'll go through it in order so I don't lose it. One is to make your hand wet, right? It's to rely on your hand wet, right? So cover the electric part of it and put your hand right. Make your hand wet so it's like moist, right? Which halachically might work, right? But it'll functionally prevent most of the water from getting to the electric thing, which will minimize damage. Okay. Another is to put like cotton or something, right? Well, again, right? If you make it wet before, so it'll actually prevent most water from getting in, but halachically, it'll count, right? That's his second suggestion. Now he says there are a lot of things where even that is going to break it. So then he says put some tape. Like Tuvia, put some tape or wax to seal it off. Now, right. Now so we'll come to that in a second. Now the Darkei Tshuva, the Ben Ish Chai say what you should do is you should never own any of these kelim. You should give them to a guy and then borrow them forever.
So what about what we have? So when we borrow the water, don't we have to cover the part that holds the water?
Now the Rishon Zalman Auerbach and the Ber Moshe say you should give it to an electrician to take it apart and then put it back together, because now It's a Jew putting it back together, right?
What my dad would do is just tovel it and let it sit for like 40.
So a lot of people just say, yeah. I've heard a lot of people say just tovel it and let it dry.
Yeah, that's what my dad does. Oh, he just puts it in and lets it sit for 42 hours and it dries.
Well, you could. I'm more curious. Did they total the things here?
Right now, what Nachum's father does, that's the Kinyan Torah, right? The Kinyan Torah says, yeah, just tovel it and let it wait for 2 or 3 days, right? Now, there are people who have come up with other heterim. Some people have said that I've heard poskim say that you don't need to tovel them at all, because if they're going to break, right? If they're going to break, so that the argument that some poskim have made is that if they're going to break, so since you only have to give up a fifth of your money for kiyum mitzvahs aseh, right? If it's going to break the kli, you're constantly going to be giving up 100% of the money for this particular mitzvah, right? Meaning it's not your assets, but it's a fifth of, right? It's more than a fifth of that upon which you are doing the mitzvah.
Right, is going to be wasted.
So halacha lemaisa, I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Sounds a little stupid. You're just going
Yeah, okay. But halacha lemaisa, but I want you to understand, right? That this huge machloket is a function of, as we've said, the question of what defines a kli, right? What defines a kli? Now there are some complicating components, right? Which is, right? The fact that it's plugged in. Can you distinguish between the electric component? What?
Can I take this extender?
Not the second, no. Can you wait a minute? Now the people, right? Now some of them base themselves on their heterim moving it to guy, of taking it apart and making it clean. But you understand how all those yisodot.
It's considered like you could just unscrew and
No, it has to be something where it's considered broken, right? It has to be broken.
A hole in it and then
correct. So therefore, you give it to an expert, right? Meaning. The halacha is that if it's something that a head yoke can fix and unfix, it's not considered broken.
Right.
The reason you have to give it to an electrician has to be the type of thing that the average person would say is broken, right? Then it's considered broken, and then you can reconstitute
right,
it.
Well, let's say you have a person like Ellie, who's an average person, but he finds ways to fix things.
What?
Like a person like Ellie or like me, like something's broken and like most people can't fix it, but we find a way, or we do like a DIY everything to fix it. Like, is that considered?
So again, you'll have like borderline. Now, I will just point out that obviously there are certain machlokot about which of these kelim will need it. So, for example, a toaster might not need it, right? It might be too early in the process. It might, guys. So certain poskim, guys. So like a tevilah a toaster might not need it, not because it's the electric thing, but because it's too early in the process, or it's not klei suda, right? You normally take it out of the toaster and put it on your plate, right? You don't need it right out of the toaster. So certain folks can argue that it's not a klei suda, right? It's 2 steps removed.
Could that be why they don't total the? What are they called?
Now, a blender, right, needs one, obviously, right? That I think is obvious,
You're
right?
not eating off the blender.
It'll be poured out of.
What do you mean? You pour a smoothie right in.
Oh, that's.
Think about it, right?
No, but why is that different than the toaster? You don't drink straight from the blender machine. You pour it into a cup. It's the same thing as a toaster. You don't eat straight from the toaster.
That's why it's a machlokes.
Actually, there are some bottles. Like today, there are some things.
Right.
The ninja one.
Now, there are poskim, like I said, who paskin. Here, so now I found it. Right, Rav Heinemann writes that. Good. So at least I have one position. Then we'll end. Rav Heinemann, this on the Star K website, says that if an electric kli will be broken through tevilah, then you're considered anus. And since there's no isser to use a kli without tevilah, the anus gets you out of the mitzvah saseh, and mamela you don't have to be tovelet, right? So you'll get the whole range on Tevilat Kelim, right? You'll have it on electric appliances. You'll have poskim who say you don't have to do it all. You'll have poskim who say do it and let it dry out. You'll say poskim who lend it to a guy. Ones who say take it apart. But all of them are trying to get to this question: what is defined as a kli, right? But you see, Rav Heinemann's position is based on a combination of yes, it is a kli, but because it's only a mitzvah saseh and not a lav, right? Mm-hmm. Therefore, anus will get you out of it. Okay, so that's but again. like I said, each of these issues you could spend months on. I want to just, we spent 50 minutes on chad pami and on electric, but you understand that this is all an extension of the Yesodos that we've seen. At this point, I think, unless you want to spend a long time on the guy stuff, we could move on if you guys are ready. I think unless there's a halachic issue that you guys really want to deal with at this point, but we've dealt with chad pami, we've dealt with electric, the basics at least.
Right.
We've dealt with a lot of the shadows I think that come up.
Right.
So if you guys are done, I'm happy to move on. Is there anything else? Yeah. Is there anything else that you guys want? Let me see. Is there anything else?
We're sticking for right now.
We did the convert issues. We did being a guest at a house, right? And hotels.
Yes,
we did that. So is there anything else that you guys feel like you need to do to have at least a basic halacha mice idea? And you want to move to Hechsher Kelim?
Yes, sir.
Good. So tomorrow, finish the parak.
Oh.
Finish the Masechta. Let's go to the end of the Masechta.